Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, best in new inventory with great warranties. Fabulous pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. And a great service department that backs it all up every step of the way, from the routine to the difficult. It is all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Time now for our play-by-play call of the day.
Pettigrew has it, and he lost it into the seats, over the top to Butler, up and in! Jimmy Butler ties the game with a half second to go. What a play call.
Crazy game last night, huh?
Unbelievable.
It was interesting. You're talking about a team that's a couple of years removed from a championship, and you talk about the Bucks and the Heat, and they were up 16 in the fourth quarter at home and didn't win. They did ask Giannis after the game, and it's a reporter from The Athletic, and evidently he asked the same question a year ago. Do you consider this season to be a failure?
I actually have the audio if you want to hear it.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to know what you think.
Me, I had no problem with the question. I had no problem with the answer. I think Giannis got his point across, and the reporter got what probably more than he was looking for. It worked out.
Yeah. So,
I have no beef either way.
Okay. Because, I mean, you're big on pointing out failure. In fact, you kind of thrive on it.
Totally fair question, but a terrific answer.
All right, so let's listen to it.
Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God! You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay, do you get the promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me? No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no?
I don't think so.
Okay, exactly. So why you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports.
Well, they haven't heard this show.
Get the lingerie on the deck. Call the janitor.
I don't think Giannis has ever heard the opening segment with you.
Probably not, no.
No, probably not. But I will say that this is what makes sports difficult and what makes it rewarding. Winning's hard. I mean, winning is hard. And having one team win the championship, extremely hard. So I always try to bring that perspective to the table, how difficult it is to win. It's just not easy. That's why there's only one champion every year. And at least Giannis has a ring in his life about it. At least he has that. And at least we have the king.
King.
There he is.
So, what I think is it's amazing that a man who's only known the English language that long speaks so well. I think that's amazing. So, and I like what he said. You know, these reporters getting, trying to get something out of these guys. I mean, the guy just lost. Of course he's upset. But, it's the Bruins are learning it, and the Celtics are learning it. And, just because everyone says you're supposed to win doesn't mean you're going to. The other team's trying to win, too. So,
yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, no, no, it's Matt. They gave him a computer, and I think he feels obligated to use it. I don't.
That's Doug saying bingo
what do you guys
over the
think
shot.
of Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers? I mean, look, this is the last rodeo. Whether it's 1 year or 2 years, it's the last rodeo. He's going to see if he can do it in a different location. See if seeing if this is the fountain of youth, and we're all going to find out. And you're guaranteed a maximum of 5 national TV broadcasts, which means we will see the Jets at least 5 times on national TV.
The Jets are loaded. The Jets got a good team. The only thing they didn't have was a quarterback. Now they have a quarterback. Their defense is as good as anyone in football. So,
well,
I don't know.
It's going to blow up in the Jets' face.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
Everything the Jets touch turns to crap. So, I don't know. Well, like Zach Wilson was supposed to be, Joe Montana, and that didn't work.
No.
I don't know. I heard I was on the.
Go ahead, Matt. Tell him about the Zach Wilson draft show. Go ahead.
I wonder where he's going to go, because he's not going to sit on the. He's not going to want to sit on the bench, but he stinks. So, but
tell him about the Zach
I
Wilson
sit there
draft show
all night and look at Instagram and Twitter and all this stuff all night long, and some guy tweeted out last night that he's got inside information that the Patriots are going to trade down to or trade up to the Houston Oilers or Houston Texans. And trade Mac Jones for their pick, which would mean they would be going for one of the top 2 quarterbacks. Do you think that's possible?
Anything's possible in this draft. This draft, to me, is wide open. I think it's wide open with a wide range of possibilities. That's why I think there are so many different versions of mock.
Hello?
I think we lost Steve again. We've been having connection issues all show, unfortunately.
Boy.
Yeah. But I think anything. This is one of the most unpredictable drafts you're ever going to see.
Yeah,
Steve's right.
Interesting. I mean, there's good players, What Penn State players are going to go on the top? Number one.
Tonight you'll just see Joey Porter Jr. probably go somewhere mid-first round.
Yeah,
that'll be tonight.
Popular.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He'll definitely be a big upgrade for whoever gets him. And then you'll probably see 3 to 5 more guys go tomorrow on day 2 tomorrow. And then there'll be a handful of guys, including Sean Clifford, that will either get drafted like real late, day 3, or will be a free agent, and then you'll be kind of itching to see what they're going to do.
I wonder where Clifford will go. I don't.
He got a number of pre-draft visits for the top 30 pre-draft visits that each team is allowed to have, and the Giants had him, the Jets had him, the Eagles had him. So there's been some interesting names thrown in there. I mean, as Steve was saying yesterday, and I 100% agree, is he's worthy to look at as a guy maybe to be like a third quarterback or a practice squad quarterback, because you never know about injuries. And then he's a guy that
he can run.
Yeah, well, not only that too, but it's a guy. His football IQ is very high. This is a guy that I think could be a good coach someday on either level. So you have that kind of guy that can learn, mature, maybe a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, if you need a guy, you give him there, give him a shot, or just throw him in there in the preseason. You never know. I mean,
did he get an invite to the combine?
He did not, but he did participate in Penn State's pro day, and he did okay, not great. But I think it's an intriguing name to keep an eye on. I think as like a option for somebody at quarterback. It really is.
Yeah, I mean he can, as far as a practice squad quarterback, because he can run, he can simulate a lot of offenses, and that's what you want. That's an invaluable asset to your team, so to have that. And, hey, you never know. Tom Brady. So, but he doesn't have that kind of talent, but he's a very, very good athlete.
The bottom line is you get yourself on a roster and you keep your career alive. Okay?
Yep.
And I'm doing an event next month, and it's not a political event. Okay, so everybody knows. It's a Penn State club event, and the Toastmaster is going to be Matt McGloin. Matt McGloin kept his career alive. Okay, you can do that. You can do that. So it's, it's look, and that's
look at the kid, the quarterback for UConn. Now he's a top analyst for, I think, ESPN or whatever.
Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky.
Who?
Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah. I mean, he kept his career alive for like 12 years with the Lions. I mean, he was a backup quarterback. I don't think he played but 4 games in 12 years, but boy, the guy knows football. So
yeah,
he's good. So, I don't know. So, I'm watching the draft now. It begins in 3 hours, 42 minutes, and 35 seconds. Actually, 32 seconds now.
So you're watching the countdown?
Will Anderson, number 3. Will Levis?
Will Levis. He's from Madison, Connecticut.
Really?
Yes.
Well, how did he get away from us here?
He went to Penn State first, then he went to Kentucky.
He's rated ahead of Stroud? No way. So,
no, well,
I think Stroud's going to be a great NFL quarterback.
He'll be really good.
So,
I think you make a mistake by bypassing him. I really do.
Yep. I can see the Patriots. I can see anybody trading down to get those guys, because they're the type of quarterback that's winning now. So,
yeah. Well,
who would you take, the Alabama kid or him, if you had a choice?
Alabama. If you're going to get they both throw well on the run.
Yep.
Which, let's face it, if you're going to be drafted higher, in all likelihood, your offensive line is not going to be great because you are drafting high, and there are reasons. And there's something about Young is more innovative as he looks to throw downfield against various pressures compared to Stroud.
Do you worry about his size?
No, I really don't. He has better mobility than Russell Wilson, and he's right around Wilson's size. I have no concerns with that at all. Matt's only concerned about whether the guy has character or not. Okay.
No Jalen Carter for me.
Is he funny?
If
he's funny, that's great. Just stay out of trouble off the field, and we're good.
All right. So essentially, what Matt has done is he is eliminated.
Oh.
Yeah, what he was saying is I've officially eliminated Jalen Carter, like some NFL teams, as I don't want him in an Eagle uniform. But we got to take a break.
Does he have a dog?
That's interesting. He might. I don't know. Maybe he's got a bulldog himself. Like, what's the bulldog's name down there in Georgia that they had? I think he died actually, and they got a new one. If I remember correctly, but whatever. We got to take a break anyway. We'll be back after this with the King. We've got our mock headlines of the week coming up on the Steve Jones Show, News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Sunbury Motors.
There's something to be said about a sale with a handshake, a service technician who really knows what he's doing. They can explain it in English what the problem is. There's nothing better than having that friend you could trust in the area. That's Sunbury Motors, where you get selection, knowledgeable salespeople, and prices that fit your budget, and more important, that friend you can trust. Welcome to Sunbury Motors, Kia, Ford, and Hyundai. You could shop other dealers and compare prices, but at Sunbury Motors, you get their lowest price promise. They research the current used vehicle market and guarantee their used car prices are the lowest. If you find a lower price, Sunbury Motors will beat it. 3 dealers all in one. See their full new and pre-owned inventory at sunburymotors.com. Pick out a vehicle you like and schedule your test drive online. Follow them on Facebook. Sunbury Motors Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
All right, headlines. Lots of headlines.
Well,
I'll go first. I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
I'll go second.
I guess I'll go third.
That's funny. Gonna try and get him back on.
We'll have to try, because I think we just lost him again. Well, I'll go next. I'm going to keep my Aaron Rodgers thing going. And I'm going to say there's going to be a power outage in Manhattan for second Rodgers darkness retreat. Maybe the New York media was too much for him on Friday.
I think he's going to do well there. I don't know, for a year. But if he doesn't, he'll retire. So
either way, I don't see the Jets. I can see the Jets getting to the playoffs, but I don't see them getting to the Super Bowl. I don't even know if I even see them getting to the AFC title game, to be honest with you.
So did you get my headline? Or did I drop off too soon?
I think it might have dropped off.
It was really good.
Okay, my headline was, Eagles draft Jalen Carter. Matt refuses to watch Eagles when they're on defense.
Well,
I think the Eagles will win the Super Bowl this year. So.
Hey, I hope you're right.
I think they're loaded. Might as well Lamar Jackson signed with the Ravens. So he's talking. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's staying put.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think that was all. I don't know if it's good or bad that his mother's his agent, but.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
It's not Tom Cruise.
Just a quick memo to Mrs. Catrillo. Okay, great.
You can give suggestions, but I should probably hire a professional.
Family. I think that's cool. So.
Well, thank you.
Good, Matt.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go next. We have the usual. Maybe sometimes there's guys that jump in there that even Mel Kiper and Daniel Jeremiah have no idea about. So draft analysts will say who at least one time this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go with actually a serious one. This is not a joke. Congratulations, Drew Maggi.
Yes, sir.
1,155 minor league games.
I read about him. Yeah.
As the person who announced his first minor league at-bat with the State College Spikes. With the State College Spikes in 2010. This is a story of tremendous perseverance and a guy who realized his dream. It may be the only at-bat he gets, but guess what? He will forever be a major leaguer that got in a game. And I can't give Drew enough credit for hanging in there and making the dream come true.
It was priceless to see.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It was absolutely priceless. I mean, the ovation he got, the way he was just stunned and literally could not come up with words when he's talking to AT&T Sportsnet afterwards. That's awesome. It's one of the best moments of the season. The Pirates will at least have that regardless. But it's just adding to the fun start that the Pirates have had so far.
And they won again today.
Pirates are good.
Yeah.
Pirates
They
are
won
a
again
good
today.
baseball team.
No, they won again today. They beat the Dodgers 6-2.
Yeah.
They're rolling.
Baseball needs that. Baseball needs a changing of the guard and flip it right over, you know. Let Tampa be 30-2, you know, whatever. Get a changing of the guard and let Pittsburgh win the East, you know.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, 18-8, best record in the National League. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. And right now, the Pirates have not only the best record in the National League, they have the second best record in baseball. And it's terrific. And not only that, they are 9-4 at home. They're 9-4 away. All right?
So they're consistent.
Right. I mean, it's been great. They've played as many home games as road games. Not every team can say that.
Pirates, Tampa, World Series.
Hey, it would be fun. The ratings would not, to be honest with you, the ratings would not be great, but it would be fun.
Ratings wouldn't be great anyway. Even if it was Boston and the Dodgers, baseball's ratings are so bad now.
Well, it's just.
I mean, the game is better. There's no question about it.
They'll get better, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's one thing we've seen over time, and you saw this with the Final Four. Brand names bring the casual fan, which changes the rating, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, the passionate fan's always there.
They want the big names. I noticed that so bad in the Big Ten championship, how Nance and whoever was with him was rooting for Indiana. It was so apparent.
Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And today's show brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf, online, sunburymotors.com. My good friend Gerry Dulac joins us. My friend, welcome. It's always great to hear you.
Well, Steve, as you know, I always enjoy chatting with you, and whether it's Steelers or golf or is probably today the NFL draft, but always a treat to be with you, my friend.
I am going to slip in by way of PGA question late. How about that? We'll do that.
That's fine. I always enjoy it. I'm always ready for it.
I know. I love it because this time it's Oak Hill south of Rochester, so
right.
Not a bad track. So we'll start with this. The Steelers are sitting in that mid area in the teens, and I've done enough shows now in the past month where I've talked a lot about Joey Porter Jr. What is your thought process on that spot there, considering what the roster makeup is at this hour?
Well, I will say this to you, Steve. I like Joey Porter, and the Steelers like him too, but I don't know that they like him at 17th. So, but I think he's a first-round pick. I've seen some mocks where he's gone before the other two guys. But I think the other two guys, Witherspoon and Gonzalez, separate themselves. And then you have another tier of corners with Deonte Banks, Joey Porter, Cam Smith and Keely Ringo. They're down a little lower. But those are guys who, could probably be starters in the NFL. But they might not be the number 17 pick. And so I think that's kind of where they are looking at, at Joey Porter. But I don't think there's any question he will be a nice cornerback in the NFL.
What do you think then about what matches up as a 17th pick for the Steelers if they stay in that spot?
Well, I think if they stay put, chances are it's going to be an offensive tackle. Okay. And probably, Darnell Wright has a chance to be there. Paris Johnson won't. Broderick Jones could. There's a couple medical issues on him, but nothing that won't preclude taking him at 17. And if other people, say, have a medical issue with him, then maybe he'll drop a little. But I think ideally, if you look at the one position that cries for a starter, Steve, in that defense, to make that defense complete, when you got a Pro Bowl player at defensive end, and you have a Pro Bowl outside linebacker, and you have a Pro Bowl safety, the one area where they are deficient is cornerback, where you can use a new, big-time, if you will, number one draft pick corner. And so if they believe that, which they know that will, that may be the missing piece on their defense, then they're going to have to make a trade. And they're in position to do that with 3 picks in the top 49, including that 32nd pick, which they're going to get a lot of phone calls about.
Ooh, yeah,
so,
they are going to, yeah.
So I could see them, if they are going to make a trade, and I kind of wrote about this today, I think the thing they would probably like to do is make a trade and go up and get Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, because they're going to have to. He won't be there at 17. Neither will Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah, no,
but
you're
that
right.
being said, right. If they end up taking a tackle then at 17, I think they feel there are enough good corners, low first round, early second round, the guys I mentioned, they can still get a starting caliber corner at number 32. So that's probably what's going to happen, but I would not be at all surprised if they go and make that move up, if they feel this is what we need to do, get one of the top flight corners, what they consider the 2 top flight corners, to complete that defense.
Yeah, and you're right about 32, because that's the Chase Claypool one, the one
right.
that Chicago will rue the day that they made that deal. It's like, you got to be kidding.
Hey, Gerry, it's Matt here. I think we lost Steve again. We've unfortunately been having some connection issues there, but we'll keep it going. So you mentioned Christian Gonzalez likely would be one candidate if the Steelers were to trade up. And Omar Khan has made it clear this offseason he's not afraid to make some moves. He's kind of been changing the philosophy a little bit. So any sense of how much of a chance that might happen where he actually might make a trade up tonight?
Yeah, I think I don't want to sit here and say there's a good chance, because who knows? First of all, you have to find a suitor. And then it becomes, okay, how far do you have to go up? And so I think, but there's no question that with their, look, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a different mentality, because Kevin Colbert made trades too. Unfortunately, they made a bad one for Devin Bush. They traded up to get Polamalu because they believed those were missing pieces. And if they believe one of these corners, or one of these corners, Sauce Gardner, I don't know. Are they Patrick Surtain? Maybe. I know Christian Gonzalez is very athletic, and they brought him in for one of their 30 pre-draft visits. So, there's no question. I'm sure that possibility is very much on their radar, whether they can pull it off, see how far they have to go up, see what they might have to give up. But they are in somewhat of an advantageous position to do that. All that being said, when you have 3 picks in the top 49, you're doing okay right there, too.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. And by the way, Martin, the kid from Tennessee that you brought up, he shut out Will Anderson. And that, to me, that's part of that practical application. You sit there, you got to be pretty good to do that. By the way, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have reached a 5-year contract extension.
I saw that, yeah.
What's your reaction to that?
No, it's surprising. I mean, I think, the Ravens, to me, had no other choice. I mean, if they go and draft Anthony Richardson, then, they're another year or 2 away. Lamar Jackson is he's a red-letter player. To me, Steve, you've probably heard me say this in the past, he is the most unstoppable player in the National Football League. Okay, I know people want to question his throwing ability, but, there's no question about the strength of his arm, and they really haven't given him wide receiver targets since he's been there. It's been very strange.
That's right. Yeah.
Because they want to build it around the run. Well, Lamar Jackson is your star. He's your franchise guy, and you better give him the passing weapons to add to his repertoire. But he's a dynamic player, probably the most dynamic player in the National Football League. I'm not surprised they reached agreement with him.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up, because when they go out of the division, or not just out of the division, when they go out of the conference, the Ravens, for the most part, usually do pretty well. I think the Giants were the first team to beat Jackson from the NFC in years, but the division guys get to them because they know how to play how the Ravens play.
Right. They see him twice a year, and the Steelers do a nice job against Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
But, you know, I see that a lot, though, too, with the Ravens in general, the Steelers in general. These other teams, these other divisions, they don't play as physical. They don't play that type of football. And so when they come across the Ravens, when they come across the Steelers, they're like, you know, that's a whole nother level of intensity. And it's hard for them to match it unless that's the type of team they are, and most of them aren't.
Yeah. So based on what I'm judging for you, you think this draft is deep enough at corner where the Steelers can move up to get the one they want, and if they don't, they still have enough to find one that will help them. Is that fair?
Right. It just depends which one they think they really need, but there's no question. I think they feel there's 3 or 4 guys, late first round, you know, that 32nd pick, early second round, who can come in and be a starter. And they need a young starter at corner more so than any other position. Now, that's not to say they couldn't use an offensive tackle, and it's not to say they don't need to find the next Cam Hayward. But I think right now, that's what they need to do.
The Steelers obviously drafted their quarterback in Kenny Pickett, so you probably haven't looked at the quarterbacks as often, but what's your general impression of this group? Because you know darn well 4, maybe 5 of them may go in the first round.
Yeah, and you know, Steve, I'm curious, because you would have a good perspective on this as well. This idea that Will Levis is the number 2 pick, the number 2 quarterback in the draft, just blows my mind, because I think if that happens, some GM is waiting to get fired if he makes that move. And the fact that he's among the top 4 and the top 10 is surprising to me. So, you know, but I think, you know, Anthony Richardson's another year or 2 away, but, man, that guy is he's a freakish athlete. Yeah. And, you know, to me, Bryce Young is just, you know, he's just cool and calm and poised and productive. C.J. Stroud I like, but we've seen other Ohio State quarterbacks, and that's probably not fair to evaluate them that way. But we've seen other, including the one the Steelers had, you know, sadly, the late Dwayne Haskins, 50 touchdowns in 1 year. He gets to the NFL, and he's just a complete bust. So, you know, but I you know how teams value quarterbacks, but I think what it does too, Steve, it points up how bad that quarterback draft was last year. I mean, my goodness, Kenny Pickett went at 20. He could have gone at 31, and there wasn't another quarterback drafted until the 3rd round, Malik Willis. When do you see that from quarterback-starved teams, quarterback-desperate teams in the National Football League? So, they over-evaluate him, but they didn't over-evaluate him last year because the only guy who went in the first round, and most teams weren't sure that he was a 20 pick, that was Kenny Pickett. So we'll see how it unfolds, but it looks like 4 for sure are going to go. I guess Herndon Hooker, I guess he has some major medical concerns, and I think you're going to see him drop in the draft.
Yeah.
Well, Gerry, I think we lost Steve there, but I'll ask one more draft question as to we asked Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports Philly, a little bit earlier about how he views the dynamics between and the argument between C.J. Stroud and with Bryce Young in terms of how that might go up and earlier in the draft tonight. How do you view that?
Yeah, I think that's another situation where a general manager is risking his job if he passes on Bryce Young. I like C.J. Stroud, but when you're evaluating guys who are winners, who can play at any level in any system, and do the things that Bryce Young does, like I said, I think some general manager is asking for it if he picks C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young.
There we go. Okay. I told you I promised one last one on the PGA going to Oak Hill. So, love the track. It's right near my son's house. Now, what do you think? Second one through, and what do you think about Jon Rahm?
Well, it's more what I think, and believe me, it's nothing to not like about Jon Rahm. To me, the guy who is just so impressive is Scotty Scheffler. I mean, the guy doesn't miss a shot. He's on every board, and I expect him to go out and win the PGA. I'll tell you who else, though, too. And you know I'm a big Jordan Spieth guy. He is playing really, really, really well. And it would be great to see him win the PGA and complete the Grand Slam. And I could see that happening the way he is playing. You know, Oak Hill is the type of golf course where it's going to require somebody to navigate, and he does that as well as anybody. But I just think, and as impressive as Jon Rahm was at Augusta, double bogeying the first hole and then coming back with 7 birdies and an eagle in that round, and then coming back from Brooks Koepka and overtaking him, it was just, it was very impressive. It was very impressive. There's no question about it. And I expect him to be up there again, but I'd say watch Scotty Scheffler.
Well, Gerry, we certainly appreciate the time, especially on a day like today. Enjoy the rest of the links here tonight. Enjoy the draft, and we'll talk soon.
You got it, brother. Good to talk to you, Matt, and give Steve my best, of course.
I will. Thanks so much, Gerry. And that is Gerry Dulac from the Steelers Radio Network, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, as we get set for round 1 tonight. Steelers with the 17th overall pick. We'll wrap it up in a moment here on the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK, brought to you by Sunbury Motors.
On a warm and classy greeting. I love this game. Jeff Nelson, home plate umpire, stepping out, giving him a moment.
I mean, I really can't. I can't explain how I was feeling in the box. You guys, I didn't even know what to do. You guys were cheering me on. I don't know. I never expected that.
Called it the best strikeout of his life. Sir, I mean, look, I know, I'm one of them. But one of the strikes, by the way, was a clock violation. Believe it or not. Yeah, I think it was the second strike. I'm so happy for him. I mean, he was a 15th round pick out of Arizona State when he came here to State College. And it's just, there's so many of these guys that come here you just flat out like. And he's just one of the guys you just flat out liked right away. I mean, but you don't sit there and think to yourself, it's going to take 13 years. Now, he did have, just so you know, he did get a call up from the Minnesota Twins years ago, and Derek Shelton was the manager. And my apologies. Derek Shelton was on the staff with the Twins at the time. But he never got in. Well, now he's been able to get in. And I can't begin to tell you how happy I am for him. Since Gerry was on, I brought up golf. And I always use this golf analogy to talk about athletes don't stink. I know, and this analogy drives you nuts because you think the vast majority stink. Look. When you go to see a concert, all you care about is the lead singer. You don't care about the band. Okay, I got it. I know how you are. No, senor! I know how you operate. my brother and I went to, he said to me, you want to go to the Greater Hartford Open? I said, sure, let's go over. We go over. And we're on the 10th hole, which is a slight dog leg to the right. And Tommy Armour III, who actually won a couple times on the tour in his career, hits one on the 10th, and we're walking down the 10th, and the ball bounces and it goes into a bush. But it's not under the bush. It is, quote, up in the bush by about a foot. So we're standing near it, I don't know, 10 to 20 feet from it. He walks out, looks, walks back out, looks. Then he looks at his caddy, says, give me a 4-iron. And he's a right-handed player, and the bush is on the right side. So he takes it. And again, the ball is, it's not on the ground. It's elevated a foot. It's off the ground in the bush. Hits it out of the bush, slices it around the corner, rolls up on the green, 20 feet from the cup, walked up, sunk a birdie, went to 11. Okay? Now, Tommy Armour III is not a signature player on the PGA Tour. Right? He's not Tiger Woods, but he doesn't stink. Just to be there, you have to be really good. There's only 156 that have your tour card. He was one of them. You have to be really good. There are 8 billion people in the world. And in Major League Baseball, there are 30 teams in Major League Baseball. 30 teams. And that means there's a grand total of 780 Major League Baseball players out of 8 billion people in the world. And Drew Maggi became one of those 780 on last night. Does it really matter? I hope he gets a hit, whatever. But he's 1,155 games in the minors. And to me, that was just, the ability to keep your career alive. Nate Stupar, who lives here in State College, 8 years in the NFL, kept his career alive. Tim Frazier, for years, kept his career alive. I mentioned Matt McGloin. For 5 years, he kept his career alive. These guys don't stink. To just be there, you have to be really good. To just be there, you have to be among the best in the world. All right? You may not be the elite in the sport. That's reserved for the Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts of the world, right? Okay? They're the elite. They've separated themselves. But being one of the 780, it's a pretty exclusive club, and you have to have some level of talent just to walk in that clubhouse and put on a uniform. And that's on any sport: basketball, football, hockey, golf, tennis, anything.